Good morning, my friends. Happy today. It's Wednesday. It's pouring rain here, like seriousness. Anyway, good morning. I got a couple messages yesterday wondering what happened with my hand, so I went to the doctor and I need to go have a nerve conduction study, and I don't want to. But I'm a grown up and I have to do hard things. I also have to have another stupid mammogram. Boob squishers. I gotta go have that. But at least, I don't want to have a nerve conduction study. Apparently, that's the next step in checking out my hand. Sorry I'm late this morning. I got into deep political conversations. I was up really late watching the address because that's what I do, because I'm 46. And that's what you do when you're 46. You stay up and you watch political commentary until half the morning. All right. March 5th. The water of purification. Numbers 19, 1 through 22. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Here is another legal requirement commanded by the Lord. Tell the people of Israel to bring you a red heifer, a perfect animal that has no defects and that has never been yoked to a plow. Give it to Eleazar the priest, and it will be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Eleazar will take some of its blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times towards the front of the tabernacle. As Eleazar watches, the heifer must be burned, its hide, meat, blood, and dung. Eleazar the priest must then take a stick of cedar, a hyssop branch, and some scarlet yarn and throw them into the fire where the heifer is burning. Then the priest must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. Afterward, he may return to the camp, though he will remain ceremonially unclean until the evening. The man who burns the animal must also wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and he too will remain unclean until evening. Then someone who is ceremonially clean will gather up the ashes of the heifer and deposit them in a purified place outside the camp. They will be kept there for the community of Israel to use in the water for the purification ceremony. The ceremony is performed for the removal of sin. The man who gathers up the ashes of the heifer must also wash his clothes. He will remain ceremonially unclean until evening. This is a permanent law for the people of Israel and any foreigners who live among them. All those who touch a dead human body will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. They must purify themselves on the 3rd and 7th days with the water of purification. Then they will be purified. But if they do not do this on the 3rd day and the 7th day, they will continue to be unclean even after the 7th day. All those who touch a dead body and do not purify themselves in the proper way defile the Lord's tabernacle, and they will be cut off from the community of Israel. Since the water of purification was not sprinkled on them, their defilement continues. This is the law that applies when someone dies inside a tent. All those who enter the tent and those who were inside when death occurred will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. Any open container in the tent that is not covered with a lid is also defiled. And if someone in an open field touches the corpse of someone who was killed with a sword or who died a natural death, or if someone who touches a human bone or a grave, that person will be defiled for 7 days. To remove the defilement, put some of the ashes from the burnt purification offering in a jar and pour fresh water over them. Then someone who is ceremonially clean must take a hyssop branch and dip it into the water. That person must sprinkle the water on the tent, on all the furnishings in the tent, and on the people who were in the tent, also on the person who touched the human bone or touched someone who was killed or who died naturally or touched a grave. On the 3rd and 7th days, the person who is ceremonially clean must sprinkle the water on those who are defiled. Then on the 7th day, the people being cleansed must wash their clothes and bathe themselves, and that evening they will be cleansed of their defilement. But those who become defiled and do not purify themselves will be cut off from the community, for they have defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. Since the water of purification has not been sprinkled on them, they remain defiled. This is a permanent law for the people. Those who sprinkle the water of purification must afterward wash their clothes, and anyone who then touches the water used for purification will remain defiled until evening. Anything and anyone that a defiled person touches will be ceremonially unclean until evening. Moses strikes the rock, Numbers 21 through 13. In the first month of the year, the whole community of Israel arrived in the wilderness of Zin and camped at Kadesh. While they were there, Miriam died and was buried. There was no water for the people to drink at that place, so they rebelled against Moses and Aaron. The people blamed Moses and said, "If only we had died in the Lord's presence with our brothers. Why have you brought the congregation of the Lord's people into this wilderness to die, along with all our livestock? Why did you make us leave Egypt and bring us here to this terrible place? This land has no grain, no figs, no grapes, no pomegranates, no water to drink." Moses and Aaron turned away from the people and went to the entrance of the tabernacle, where they fell face down on the ground. Then the glorious presence of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord said to Moses, "You and Aaron must take the staff and assemble the entire community. As the people watch, speak to the rock over there, and it will pour out its water. You will provide enough water from the rock to satisfy the whole community and their livestock." So Moses did as he was told. He took the staff from the place where it was kept before the Lord. Then he and Aaron summoned the people to come and gather at the rock. "Listen, you rebels," he shouted. Must we bring you water from this rock?" Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with the staff, and water gushed out. So the entire community and their livestock drank their fill. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me enough to demonstrate my holiness to the people of Israel, you will not lead them into the land I am giving them." This place was known as the waters of Meribah, which means arguing, because there the people of Israel argued with the Lord, and there he demonstrated his holiness among them. Edom refuses Israel's passage, Numbers 20, 1 through 14. While Moses was at Kadesh, he sent ambassadors to the king of Edom with this message. "This is what your relatives, the people of Israel, say. You know all the hardships we have been through. Our ancestors went down to Egypt, and we lived there a long time, and we and our ancestors were brutally mistreated by the Egyptians. But when we cried out to the Lord, he heard us and sent an angel who brought us out of Egypt. Now we are camped at Kadesh, a town on the border of your land. Please let us travel through your land. We will be careful not to go through your fields and vineyards. We won't even drink water from your wells. We will stay on the king's road and never leave it until we have passed through your territory." But the king of Edom said, "Stay out of my land, or I will meet you with an army." The Israelites answered, "We will stay on the main road. If our livestock drink your water, we will pay for it. Just let us pass through your country. That's all we ask." But the king of Edom replied, "Stay out. You may not pass through our land." With that, he mobilized his army and marched out against them with an imposing force. Because Edom refused to allow Israel to pass through their country, Israel was forced to turn around. The death of Aaron, Numbers 20, 22 through 29. The whole community of Israel left Kadesh and arrived at Mount Hor. There, on the border of the land of Edom, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "The time has come for Aaron to join his ancestors in death. He will not enter the land I am giving the people of Israel, because the two of you rebelled against my instructions concerning the water at Meribah. Now take Aaron and his son Eleazar up Mount Hor. There you will remove Aaron's priestly garments and put them on Eleazar his son. Aaron will die there and join his ancestors." So Moses did as the Lord commanded. The three of them went up to Mount Hor together as the whole community watched. At the summit, Moses removed the priestly garments from Aaron and put them on Eleazar, Aaron's son. Then Aaron died there on the top of the mountain, and Moses and Eleazar went back down. When the people realized that Aaron had died, all of Israel mourned for him for 30 days. Can you imagine? I was just thinking about that. Like, how weird would that be? Be like, go up on that mountain, there you're going to die. I'd be like, I ain't going up there. If I go up there, I'm gonna die. I probably wouldn't say that. If God was standing there, I'd be like, okay, I'll go up the mountain. But still, like, it's just so blunt. Like, okay, so they took him up and there he died. The end. Like, this just so, just can you imagine? Like, picture yourself in that circumstance. Victory over the Canaanites, Numbers 21, 1 through 3. The Canaanite king, Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that the Israelites were approaching the road through Atharim. So he attacked the Israelites and took some of them as prisoners. Then the people of Israel made this vow to the Lord: "If you will hand these people over to us, we will completely destroy all their towns." The Lord has heard the Israelites' request and gave them victory over the Canaanites. The Israelites completely destroyed them and their towns, and the place has been called Hormah ever since. The bronze snake, Numbers 21, 4 through 9. Then the people of Israel set out from Mount Hor, taking the road to the Red Sea, to go around the land of Edom. But the people grew impatient with the long journey, and they began to speak against God and Moses. "Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die here in the wilderness?" they complained. "There is nothing to eat here and nothing to drink, and we hate this horrible manna." So the Lord sent poisonous snakes among the people, and many were bitten and died. Then the people came to Moses and cried out, "We have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you. Pray that the Lord will take away the snakes." So Moses prayed for the people. Then the Lord told him, "Make a replica of a poisonous snake and attach it to a pole. All who are bitten will live if they simply look at it." So Moses made a snake out of bronze and attached it to a pole. Then anyone who was bitten by a snake could look at the bronze snake and be healed. Israel's journey to Moab, Numbers 21, 10 through 20. The Israelites traveled next to Oboth and camped there. Then they went on to Abiram at the wilderness on the eastern border of Moab. From there, they traveled to the valley of Zered Brook and set up camp. They moved out and camped on the far side of the Arnon River in the wilderness adjacent to the territory of the Amorites. The Arnon is the boundary line between the Moabites and the Amorites. For this reason, the book of the wars of the Lord speaks of the town of Waheb in the area of Suphah and the ravines on the Arnon River, and the ravines that extend as far as the settlement of Ar on the border of Moab. From there, the Israelites traveled to Beer, which is the well where the Lord said to Moses, "Assemble the people, and I will give them water." There the Israelites sang this song: "Spring up, O well, yes, sing its praises. Sing of this well, which princes dug, which great leaders hollowed out with their scepters and staffs." Then the Israelites left the wilderness and proceeded on through Mattanah, Nahaliel, and Bamoth. After that, they went to the valley of Moab, where the Pisgah Peak overlooks the wastelands. Victory over Sihon and Og, Numbers 21, 21 through 35. The Israelites sent ambassadors to King Sihon of the Amorites with this message: "Let us travel through your land. We will be careful not to go through your fields and vineyards. We won't even drink water from your wells. We will stay on the king's road until we have passed through your territory." But King Sihon refused to let them cross his territory. Instead, he mobilized his entire army and attacked Israel in the wilderness, engaging them in the Battle of Jahaz. But the Israelites slaughtered them with their swords and occupied their lands from the Arnon River to the Jabbok River. They went only as far as the Ammonite border because the boundary of the Ammonites was fortified. So Israel captured all the towns of the Amorites and settled them, including the city of Heshbon and its surrounding villages. Heshbon had been the capital of King Sihon of the Amorites. He had defeated the former Moabite king and seized all his land as far as the Arnon River. Therefore, the ancient poets wrote this about him: "Come to Heshbon and let it be rebuilt. Let the city of Sihon be restored. A fire flamed forth from Heshbon, a blaze from the city of Sihon. It burned the city of Ar in Moab. It destroyed the rulers of the Arnon Heights. What sorrow awaits you, O people of Moab? You are finished, O worshippers of Chemosh. Chemosh has left his sons as refugees, his daughters as captives of Sihon the Amorite king. We have utterly destroyed them from Heshbon to Didon. We have completely wiped them out as far as the Nophah at Medeba." So the people of Israel occupied the territory of the Amorites. After Moses sent the men to explore the Jazer area, they captured all the towns in the region and drove out the Amorites who lived there. Then they turned and marched up the road to Bashan, but King Og of Bashan and all of his people attacked them at Edrei. The Lord said to Moses, "Do not be afraid of him, for I have handed him over to you, along with all of his people and his land. Do the same to him as you did to King Sihon of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon." And Israel killed King Og, his sons, and all of his subjects. Not a single survivor remained. Then Israel occupied their land. Okay. All right. We are on chapter 46. We're about halfway through on the second page in at the top. This is talking about I got to remember. Waiting on God. It's about waiting in the difficulties, things that we've prayed and prayed and prayed for and seemingly go unanswered. All right. You may be facing a situation that you have been praying over and feel that God has not answered your cries. This problem is growing increasingly worse and beginning to look hopeless. You are questioning God and wondering why he is not answering you. I believe that this word is for you. Let's look in John 11 to see a similar situation. Jesus' dear friend Lazarus was terribly sick and about to die. His sisters, Mary and Martha, sent word to Jesus regarding Lazarus' condition and asked him to come. Upon receiving the word, Jesus remained in the city of Perea for 2 more days. By the time Jesus arrived, Lazarus had already died and been in the tomb for 4 days. We then see the sisters' response to the situation, and I think that we can learn 2 important directives. Number 1, run to Jesus. When Martha heard that Jesus had turned up, she ran out to meet him, but Mary stayed home. When we feel that God has forgotten us and not come through, we often act like Mary and sit down in our pain. We do not go to Jesus because we are hurt that he did not answer our prayer. But we must get up and run to Jesus, remembering that he said he would never leave us or forsake us. He has not forgotten you, nor has he dismissed your cries, but he is waiting for the right time. Number 2, declare your faith. Both Mary and Martha revealed their hurt to Jesus by saying, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. It is good to lay out your feelings before the Lord. He tells us to cast our cares on him because he cares for us, but we must not remain in our hurt. We must follow it up with a declaration of faith. Martha finished the statement by saying, but I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Martha was saying that even now, with her brother in the tomb, God can still make a way. Martha realized that nothing was too dead for Jesus to save. Jesus responded, your brother will rise again. On the other hand, Mary missed this revelation. When she finally approached Jesus, she relayed the same hurt that Martha had said, but she did not follow it up with a declaration of faith. Notice Jesus' response. He groaned in the spirit and was troubled. Jesus was deeply troubled by Mary's lack of faith. Martha walked away with the assurance and peace from Jesus that he was going to resurrect her brother. But Mary walked away not knowing that peace or reassurance. Right now, in the face of your situation, begin declaring the goodness and the power of the Lord. Begin thanking him for what he has done in your past and what he is going to do in your future. God will give you a peace and a reassurance that he is with you and hears your cry. As you probably know, Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, and this story has brought glory to God for many generations. Your trial is not just about you. God is going to use it to bring glory to his name for many generations. You will be able to encourage many others if you can stand in faith, waiting for God to work in his time. Do not grow impatient or weary. Just remember to run to Jesus and declare your faith. It does not matter how far gone your situation seems to be, because Jesus brings life to those things that are dead. I will leave you with one last thought. Jesus said in John 11:40, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? I challenge you to take this scripture and write it on the tablets of your heart. God wants to come through for you in a mighty way and show you how glorious he is, but he will do it on his time. So don't worry, he is never too late. That's so good. So good. I love that. Waiting on God is not easy. Ouch. Sorry. All right. Let me read through the comments. There you go, Susan. That's exciting. I don't know about having a film on my eye lasered off. That doesn't sound like a great time. But that's awesome about your knee replacement. It's going to be 65 here too, but it's going to be raining. Unplug it and plug it back in, Susan. That's usually what fixes Alexa. Yes, praying for your husband for sure, Linda. I don't think it necessarily had to be a big rock, Jamie. God could use a regular size rock, right? Maybe it was a big rock, but maybe it was just a small rock and they had to stand in line. Be patient. Teach them patience as well. I was supposed to go to NP for my heart doctor ultrasound on the femoral to make sure the blood flow was still good, but can't make snowdrift in front doors and icy sidewalks. Don't know how much snow it blew. Oh my goodness. That does not sound fun, Donna. We'll be praying for that. My daughter is in the hospital. Oh, I just lost my place. My daughter's in the hospital and will have gallbladder surgery tomorrow. I know it's a very common procedure, but I'm still asking for prayers. For sure, Rita. All right. Dory's delayed her trip. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for our time together. We thank you for the word that you bring to life to us every single day, and the promises that seep out of the pages of the word, and help us to understand the message that you have for us when we dive in each day. Please, God, just reveal to us the message that you want us to learn. And I thank you for this devotional and the way she explains things in a way that reminds us of your love for us and how your timing is perfect, even when it doesn't line up with the timetable we think it should be. Help us to trust in your plan, knowing that you arrive on time each and every time, and just help us to just trust in you. God, I pray for each concern here. There's a long list in the chat. You know each and every one of them: the surgeries, the exhaustion, the snow, the storms, the inability to get out, the surgeries for joint replacements, and the chemo treatments. And just there's such a long list of difficulties that everyone is walking through right now. It just feels like such a difficult season in so many lives, but you are faithful, and you are there to walk through each and every one of those with us. You know each of these concerns intimately, God, and we just give them over to you. Help us to lay them at your feet and actually lay them there and leave them there and trust in you. And just help us to have strength through each of these difficulties. And I just pray for your peace to surround each and every one that are going through these difficulties today. God, help us to make choices today that are honoring to you, that heal our bodies and nourish our bodies and bring you glory. In your precious name, amen. All right, my friends, thank you for joining me. I'm going to eat. I don't know what I'm going to have. I haven't thought about that yet, but I have a 10 o'clock appointment, but I have to figure it out pretty quickly. You know what I think I might have? I might have an open face tuna. I might show you the open face tuna sandwich from Trim Healthy Wisdom. I just got a message that made my eyes cross. Oh my goodness gracious. People are so mean. I'm going to have a light that I don't remember what it's called. I'll pull it up. It's a wisdom. My brain broke for a minute. It's a wisdom recipe on toast, and it's really good. Really, really, really good. It's been a very satisfying lunch for me, but I'm going to make it this morning for breakfast. It's a tuna recipe. So I'll make that with all of you, and I hope you'll join me. And if not, well, the heck with you then. Just kidding. I'm fine, Meredith. I'm fine. I peeked at my phone. I saw a message that's nasty, and it makes my eyes cross. It's some days I get those messages and I'm just like, oh, I just hit block. But it's just people being name calling. It's pretty typical. Anyway, I don't, Rita. Honestly, I don't. I know that it's just sometimes it makes me go, huh? Really? Yes, it's so good, isn't it, Jennifer? So I'm going to make that this morning, and I hope you'll join me to make it. And if not, I'll see you back tomorrow morning for devotions. I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing day.